Well, good morning, my friends. Furtado here, a rebel turner. I guess you can say I'm a sucker for punishment because yesterday I was out here and I battled for 2 hours a bowl that I thought was going to be a really, really great bowl. Not because of the wood, but because of its bark. It's a piece of oak that my wife picked up. I just got back from work and I saw it and I was like, wow, this is nice. It's sitting behind me. The second half. The log was double its size. And I took the chainsaw and I split it in half. And I do have good reason to be excited about it because I've had a lot of woods and some very nice woods. But I've never had anything with bark quite as high as this. This, when all said and done, this bark on these edges will project about 2 inches away from the wood. Now, the wood has a lot of checking going on here, but it's expected. It's green wood. It was freshly cut maybe 2 weeks ago. And, well, back to the story. Yesterday, we're right at the end of all my turning, and not to say that it was an easy turning. It was a lot of bouncing on the lathe because of how heavy the piece is and off balance. And doing all that turning, I get to the end, and what do? I dropped the bowl. I dropped it, and it created a good sized crack going up on the edge of the wood. So I was disappointed with that. I mean, yeah, I CA'd it, and this morning, even though I CA'd it, closed up. This morning, because of the nature of the wood and the checking that's going on, well, it opened right back up. Now it's got a wider gap than it even had at the beginning. And yes, I don't mind all the checking that's going through it. I accept that, and I look at that as part of its character. But a fault or a break that's obviously not following up the same characteristics as all the little checking, to me, well, that's not what the wood wanted to do. That's an accidental drop. So today I'm going to put this one back on the lathe and battle it. And I'm not going to keep this going all the way through. I will clip it, I will fast forward in some areas because it's going to be tedious, it's going to be bouncing. And I know some of you are going to say, Al, can't you bolt your lathe down? It's not a bolting. My whole shed will vibrates with the weight of this. So the lathe is well secured. It's not going anywhere. I'm not afraid that the lathe is going to topple over unless the whole shed goes over. And I don't think that's going to happen. But anyway, rather than you guys being concerned or worried about my safety, fear not. It's not going anywhere, but it will bounce a little bit. Now, the reason why I can do some of these turnings, without a doubt, is because the VFD on my lathe. If I was not able to reduce this lathe to 200 or 300 RPMs, I would not tackle a piece like this on a lathe that's got a fixed speed of minimum of 700 RPM. Because that is just crazy. You don't know. You know, I know that this there's a toll on your bearings and everything else. So I am going to go slow and take my time with it, get the basic outside shape, and that will reduce an amazing amount of weight out of it, but still play it on a slow speed and keep going. And, I'll increase the speed as the lathe becomes more stable and the piece becomes lighter. this piece behind me. I'm going to mount it on a spur drive between centers and lighten up the load. Let's get started. Alright, but I believe that it will have enough clearance to pass up my bedway and everything else. So I got it just lined up over there, and I'm going to bring my live center in. Hopefully it reaches, because the piece will not pass underneath the pass by underneath the banjo. So the banjo really has to be out of the way for this, in order for this to be able to even spin in this lathe. You can see it's a big piece. I'm trying to see if I can save the biggest part of it, which is down at the bottom right now. It's actually hitting the bed. And I want that to be the top of my bowl. So the back side towards my headstock will be the back. So I'm gonna do a little wiggle on this and bring it up a little bit on that side. And now the piece still hitting there somewhere, just hitting my banjo. Okay, I got it cleared. I'm going to do one more maneuver on this. Okay. And I will wiggle it a little bit at a time until I get it to pass. And also at the same time, I'm trying to balance this out a little bit. And it's not too far off balance. But this is a big piece. When all said and done, this bowl will end up being around 17 inches diameter. Maybe just a little over that. So block everything really well. And once I get to the top, I'm going to be using a lot of CA on this piece, on the bark, to make sure that I keep it as well, because that is the main attraction to this piece. So with it mounted, fairly balanced, not 100%, I can't get 100% balancing on this. I'm going to go slow in here and start taking this from the bark side towards the middle, make a tenon over here for my 100mm, my big jaws. I won't use the little ones for this size bowl, and turn it around and continue. And this should be an interesting turning. So, rather than bore you with this process, it's going to be pretty much this for the next, I'm going to say, about an hour before I can get this really balanced and able to speed it up. So I'm not going to be putting up a 3-hour video showing you this. I will bring you back to any points that I want to make and just continue with this. Now, on this bark, I get a ton of tear out, and I'll be able to clean it up with a nice clean, fresh start on the sharp edge, but I am going to have still a lot of this. Now, I don't want to lose any of the bark area where the edge is. I'm going to bring this up a little bit closer. I got a little bit of room still to go here and as I go in. So I'm going to shape this up. Because of the size of this bowl, I don't want to make the seat for the tabletop to be too small. So for it to be the size of the tenon, I believe that this size would be a little bit off. Not that it's going to fall over, but I don't feel that it would be an appropriate size to the size of the bowl. So what I did is I made this ring right here, and this eventually at the back end, when all said and done, this will be the base, and I will eliminate the foot completely, the tenon completely, once all said and done. I have a little bit of jaggedness still from the cut over here, so I still have to refine this a little bit, but I really don't have to true this up to be completely true, because my jaws are deep enough to bury this whole thing in, and that will all be cut away anyway, so no sense doing the work twice. So I'm just going to continue and get a little bit more of this shape over here after sharpening my gouge a little bit. Now this will give me slightly cleaner cuts. Now, once I flip this over, it's still questionable. The bark will clear the bed all the way around, but the question is, will it clear my banjo? You know, the lathe was not designed to be an 18-inch lathe. And this is the original banjo, the original tailstock, so it could possibly get in my way. But it's time for me to get a good grip on this, still keep it between centers if possible, and lighten up the weight on this piece. It really needs to be reduced down, and this is the time that this will take place. Because of the thickness of this bark, it will most likely, big chunks of it, will most likely end up flying off. Like this piece that I got missing right here. And it would be a shame, a real shame, if I can't keep all the bark in as much as I can. So I will do whatever I have to do to assure me that I keep this bark. This looks like the right way, more so than that. But this piece has already flown off without any catch, just the cutting of the piece. So it's time to take some preventative actions on this and assure me that I maintain this bark all the way through. So on this area right here, I'm going to saturate this with CA. So wherever it's already making contact, it will grab. And I'm going to be doing this pretty much throughout the whole bark area. So it will use up some CA, there's no doubt about that. But once I get CA in, fill the voids with a little bit of sawdust. Throw more CA in that sawdust. Well, with the bowl flipped over, the bark somewhat saturated with CA glue all the way around the edge. I got some pour over in the back, which is not an issue because I will sand that off later. This piece is really heavy on this part right here, which is not the thickest of the parts. It's actually, the thickest part is right here. And all of this is going to pretty much come out. The bowl will be fairly shallow on this point over here and fairly tall right here. So I'm ready to go in here and start gouging this out. Okay, so it's time to go in here and start gouging away at this. It's going to be a lengthy process. And I apologize, but nothing I can do. I've got to go slow, and until I get to this edging, the piece will be pretty much off balance still. Well, I must admit, this is really doing a tune on me. I mean, this is way more than this lathe was ever designed for. It was never intended to handle something of this weight and this magnitude. But stopping the lathe every once in a while and seeing what is going on with a piece, sometimes the design is at the point that you're at. Now, I can turn this all the way down and it will be a nice looking big bowl. But just a bowl. Just big. A bowl like any other bowl. But I stopped it over here. It's like, okay, because I've been hollowing away from this area. It's like the bowl has so many things going on with it. And if I make it big, it will be lost and just won't look like anything really special. This is what's special right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thin this down, work this area a little bit, work this ridge slightly, and concave the back side and make this still a good size bowl, because it's still 10 inches in the center, and I will bring this going up with this contour, keeping it about a ½ inch thick, because a bowl of this size should not be thinner than that. Not because anything wrong with it, but because of design, and you want to show some bulkiness to the piece, in my opinion. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to keep, or at least for now, I'm not going to continue taking this out, because I think at this point I want to maintain this area right here, this profile. So I'll go in here, turn a little bit more of this so I can get a little bit more of a profile on this bark area. Not all of it, but just a little bit more. Shape this up and continue working on the inside and see what's developing out of it. Well, after some serious sanding that I've done here, seems like it's been forever, applying some Yorkshire grit. And I've only sanded this down to 80 grit, but the wood is pretty hard, a little green. So I don't think the finest sandpapers would do much on this. But again, I'm relying on Yorkshire grit to do its magic. And put a little bit of a finish on this bark as well. This crotch double pit that I got in here for this piece is, you know, even if you don't agree with the design, and oak, I usually don't get too excited about it, but here's my reason behind this design. If I didn't do this step in here, which is, in my opinion, was a good design decision on this piece would have been nice. It still would have been nice. But what it would have been would be a big bowl. Well, with this design, it's not a big bowl. It's a beautiful bowl. Now the Yorkshire grit is really not going to sand it per se, but I believe that Yorkshire grit has more than one thing that you can use to your advantage. I think it also has a sealer incorporated into the chemical, because I don't see how it could possibly do as well as it does if it didn't have that. This out here will be a little tough, so I'm going to use the my wheel with Scotch-Brite, my Scotch-Brite wheel, and I'll get to this outside bark. Don't want to lose it, and don't want to put my fingers in there. Well, unfortunately, it's not done. I still got the foot to work at, and it's not going to be a speedy process because the whole thing, there's nothing speedy about it. I got a little bit of lacquer which I'm going to apply just on the bark area. And this is just to seal the end. It's not a high shine, so the shine will be about the same as it is throughout the whole piece. If I had roll-on, I would do it with a roll-on. So, here's a bowl. And a bowl that I have done before. I've done something like this. Is it like exactly like this? No. When you're doing something natural edge and grain, it will always be different because depending on the character of the tree, bark, coloration, crotch, whatnot, it will always be different for you. Not a super finish, for sure, but a super bowl. Alright, it's time to go in here, mount this up, so I can cut that foot. And the way I'm going to do this, of course, is with the other chuck and the pad in between. Well, here it is. It is part of bowl. And if I'm to say, the keeping of this over here kind of emphasizes on the bark, on how long it is. Had I turned this all the way down, because of the size of the bowl, even though this bark protrudes out quite a bit, it would look very basic. So I'm not so sure that it's the best that I could have come up with, but it's definitely different and interesting. It's a bowl that will stick around for a while if I don't drop it again. Well, thanks for watching, and don't forget, thumbs up and like, hit that subscribe button, and see you soon. Take care.